Worked all day yesterday.
Magic trick between me and you, we got it.
Exactly.
You're welcome.
Have fun without.
It is 9:02.
Mr. Kudo,
Just sign in here.
Mr. Meyer.
I'll call to order the Board of Supervisors meeting. First on the agenda is roll call. If you can mark yourselves present. Mr. Kudo? Can you mark yourself present?
Yep.
17 present, we'll get a quorum. Next on the agenda, we got the invocation by Ron Freeman and the Pledge of Allegiance by Lois Good.
Heavenly Father, we are thankful that we can be here today. We just want to remember those veterans who have served, and we thank you for those that gave their ultimate sacrifice in their lives. We just pray that you'd protect those who are currently serving around the world, and just pray your protection for them. We just thank you for all the county employees that are here today, and we just pray that you bless them in their work today. And we just thank you for this group of county supervisors who've been called to serve, and we just pray that you give us wisdom and insight as we go through the agenda today and make decisions. And we just thank you and pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda, we got public comment limited to 3 minutes per person with a maximum public comment of 30 minutes. Does anyone wish to speak in public comment? Is there any public comment? Any public comment? All right, hearing none, public comment is now closed. Next on the agenda, we get the approval of the minutes from October 2025. Somebody want to make a motion to approve? Get a motion by Mr. Biller and a second by Mr. Moore. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Any additions or corrections? Not, go ahead and vote now. Seventeen yes, passed by majority. We got 9 minutes before the budget is finished. All right, so I'm going to skip ahead and tell the reading of the budget. I'm going to go to resolution 7325, adopting an updated public participation plan for the Rusk County Comprehensive Plan update. Do I have a motion? We got a motion by Mr. Willingham and a second by Ms. Halber.
So if you guys will recall, you have approved partnering with the Northwest Regional Planning Commission to update the county's comprehensive plan, which was last done in 2009. A statutory part of this plan is that the board adopts a public participation plan to ensure that the public has an opportunity to voice their opinions on what the comprehensive plan for the county will look like. So this was the original plan, and I do realize, thank you Kathy for pointing out, this did not make it into the packet, so I have it pulled up here if you guys want a chance to read it, or if you'd like just kind of a summary, please let me know if this is too fast for you. But this was the original plan that the board adopted in 2009. The Northwest Regional Planning Commission then went through just to kind of modernize it, bring it up to where we are in 2025, so that's where you see the red lining here. This is what the Northwest Regional Planning Commission is suggesting. As you can see, the main goals of the public participation plan are to make the citizens of Rusk County aware of the progress of the comp plan, and to offer them opportunities to participate in the plan. And there is public interest in this. Someone came looking for Carrie and me yesterday for some historical questions on that part of the plan. So there's definitely public interest. Like I said, it's just kind of updating to where we are here in 2025. And then Northwest Regional Planning Commission will hold at least one in-person hearing on the plan as well. And then all of the ad hoc or steering committee meetings are also open to the public. So there will be ample opportunity for public input on that plan. So the resolution is approving this plan, which again, I realize missed your packet. So if anyone wants a physical copy, we did email that out this morning. I don't know if you had a chance to review or if there are any questions.
Not like any major changes, it's just making it relevant for today.
And it did go through Corp Council review as well with no concerns.
Is it different than what I've got in my packet?
Well, you've got the resolution, but it's in the plan out, I don't.
Oh, I see what you're saying, okay.
Any discussion? Questions? Not, you can go ahead and vote now. Seventeen yes, passed by majority. We got about 5 minutes yet before the reading of the budget. Oh, yeah, we can do that.
He loves you.
They do, yes, they do.
Thank you. While we're waiting, I guess I could introduce Beata, the new finance director.
You kind of wonder.
Highly qualified here. The only Beata I know, so.
Yep. Sorry.
Read this as a negative, right?
Yeah, read that as a negative. And then there was a slight error in 25. It's 20.
Okay. Gotcha.
Double K.
That's where they come from.
Thank you.
At some point, I know we had a civic and then talk about not school lessons and first things like that. We even do need to do this. So if we can do that. They should make self. nation state, county, citizen self. It looks like a big increase, but it's, again, we're still lower, and we will be. And that's the thing, we can afford to build. In fact, it's in the plan, in the borrowing that we're supposed to be rebuilding. I love preaching. So is my preacher, so is the pastor.
Okay, it is 9:15. So now we will have the reading of the 2026 budget.
All right. This is the 2026 budget proposal. Expenses net of applicable general government. Circuit Court, $238,414. Drug Court Grant net, $5,285. CJCC Coordinator net, 0. Medical Examiner net, $71,953. Garden Ed Litem Indigent net, $31,182. County Board net, $92,530. Board of Adjustments net, negative 79. District Attorney net, $224,647. CJCC Coordinator net, 0. Crime Victim Witness Coordinator net, $44,704. Corporate Counsel net, $97,910. Family Counseling Fund net, $5,207. County Clerk net, $330,387. Auditor Finance net, $399,988. Insurance net, $133,120. Cost allocations net, negative $330,365. County Treasurer net, negative $172,693. Flat Books Fund net, 0. County Car Fleet Internal Service Fund net, 0. Central Services Internal Service Fund net, 0. Courthouse net, $663,209. Other county property net, $17,600. Tax deed property management net, $11,000. Register of Deeds net, 62,303. Land Information Division net, 1,800, negative 1,899. Land Information Grant Public Access net, 0. Clinic Buildings, negative 105,320. Transfers from Russell County Memorial Hospital Building, 0. Administration net, 289,986. Information Technology net, 359,846. Insurance deductible funding net, 0. ARPA disaster funding net, 0. Total general government net revenue, 2,468,914. Public safety. Sheriff Patrol Administration net, 2,722,837. Sheriff Jail Operations net, 2,069,091. Sheriff Water Patrol Grant net, 0. Sheriff Snowmobile Patrol Grant, 5,481. Sheriff Canine net, 0. Sheriff Tactical Team net, 25,572. Sheriff Edge Program net, 0. Sheriff BRDEU net, 0. Sheriff Victim Service Specialist net, 0. Sheriff BRDEU Meth Grant net, 0. Sheriff Wireless 911 net, 0. Sheriff ATV Grant net, 4,935. Sheriff Shop with a Cop Program net, 0. Sheriff Project Lifesaver net, 0. Sheriff Jail Building Maintenance net, 12,350. Sheriff Jail Assessment Fund net, 0. Ambulance Operations net, 709,673. Ambulance Grant net, 0. Local Emergency Planning Operations Grant net, 0. Local Emergency Planning Equipment Grant net, 500. Emergency Management net, 60,816. Animal Control Dog License Trust Fund, 0. Animal Shelter net, 113,384. Animal Shelter Building Fund net, 0. Animal Shelter Spay Neuter Fund net, 0. Animal Shelter Gift Fund net, 0. Total Public Safety net revenue, $5,724,640. Public Works. Highway Administration net, $308,286. Highway County Trunk Highway Maintenance net, $1,199,490. Highway County Trunk Highway Construction net, 0. Highway Bridge Construction and Aid net, $228,000. Highway Bituminous Operations Fund net, 0. Highway Gravel Pit Operations Fund net, 0. Highway Equipment Operations Fund net, 0. Highway Radio Fund net, 0. Highway State Maintenance net, 0. Highway Local Districts net, 0. Highway Local Departments net, 0. Highway Public Charges net, 0. Airport Operations net, 63,819. Airport Expansion net, 7,500. Russell County Transit Commission Service net, 18,500. Russell County Transit Commission Drivers Escort Service net, 15,978. Recycling Grant net, 12,029. Total Public Works net of revenue, $1,853,602. Health and Human Services. Senior Services, Senior Citizen Centers, net $16,650. Senior Services Source Newspaper, net 0. Senior Services Service Management Grant, $99,882. Senior Services Congregate Meals Grant net, $29,834. Senior Services Home Delivered Meals Grant net, $177,685. Senior Services Vehicle Equipment Trust Fund net, 0. Senior Services Elder Abuse Grant net, 0. Senior Services Family Caregivers Grant net, 0. Disease Prevention and Health Promotion net, 0. HHS Jail Meals net, 0. Public Health net, $197,090. Public Health WIC Grant net, $29,747. Public Health Reproductive Health Grant net, 0. Public Health Prenatal Care Grant net, 0. Public Health Opioid net, 0. Public Health Immunization Action Plan Grant net, $2,549. Public Health Birth to 3 net, 0. Public Health Maternal Child Health Grant net, $13,059. Public Health Preparedness Grant net, $11,635. Human Services Child Care net, 0. Human Services Economic Support net, $108,796. Human Services net, $590,942. Human Services Wisconsin Works W-2 net, 0. Human Services Community Intervention net, 0. Human Services WHEAP Energy Assistance net, 0. Human Services Temporary Assistance net, 0. Human Services Intoxicated Driver Surcharge net, 0. Human Services Donations net, 0. Human Services Youth Aids net, 0. Human Services Case Management net, 0. Human Services Comprehensive Community Services net, 0. Human Services Children and Families net, $118,465. Human Services Adult and Disability Resource Center net, $65,949. Human Services MA Enhanced net, 0. Human Services Children's Long-Term Support net, 0. Veterans Services net, $89,372. Veteran Service Commission Fund net, 0. Child Support net, $71,143. Coordinated Services Team net, 0. Short-term borrowing for court orders and judgments, and not mine at 0. Total Health and Human Services net of revenue, $1,622,798. Culture, Recreation, and Education. Library Operations net, $411,045. Fairgrounds net, $96,475. Senior Youth Center Operations net, $19,000. Fair net, 0. Trails End Camp net, $37,807. UW Extension net, $55,360. Foodwise Community Garden net, 0. Rusk Restorative Youth Program net, $3,182. Total Culture, Recreation, and Education, $622,869. Conservation and Development, County Forestry net, negative $422,901. Forestry State Aid, Forestry net, 0. Forestry County Forest Road Aids Grant net, 0. Forestry Land Acquisition Fund net, 0. Forestry County Conservation Aids net, 0. Forestry Snowmobile Trails Grant net, $1,422. Forestry Development of Habitat net, 0. Forestry ATV Trails Grant net, 0. Forestry Gravel Crushing net, 0. Forestry Carbon Credits net, 0. Parks and Recreation net 148,167. Parks county-owned dams net 0. Parks Park Development Fund net 0. LWCD boat landing repairs net 0. LWCD wildlife damage program net 0. LWCD NACD grant net 0. LWCD tree program net 0. LWCD well decommissioning net 0. LWCD conservation special projects net -51. LWCD non-metallic mining net -949. LWCD shoreland protection program net 0. LWCD LWRM cost share program 0. LWCD land conservation division SWRM net -337. Powerline net 0. Trail and Park Development Fund 0. Economic Development net 0. Economic Development Bruce County USDA Revolving Loan Fund net 0. Economic Development Tourism net 0. Economic Development Joint Management Enterprise Center net 0. Economic Development Joint Management Fritz Avenue net 0. Economic Development Joint Management East Avenue net 0. Economic Development Warehouser Satellite Building net 0. Economic Development Minor Avenue Building net 0. Economic Development Rail Industrial Park net 0. Economic Development Forest Industrial Park Building 1 net 0. Economic Development Forest Industrial Park Building 2 net 0. Economic Development ADF Building net 0. Economic Development Mining Reuse Fund net 0. Zoning net 37,523. Housing CDBG Housing Revolving Loan Fund net 0. Housing CDBG Home Loan Grant Fund net 0. Total Conservation and Development net of revenue -237,127. Capital outlay. Courthouse Equipment Fund net 0. Capital Projects Highway net 0. Capital Projects Fund net 0. Total capital outlay net of revenue 0. Debt service. Debt service fund net 3,870,000 even. Total debt service 3,870,000. Contingency to be transferred to departments. Emergencies, wage adjustments, shortages 200,000. Total contingency 200,000. Total expenses after reimbursements net 16,125,697. Other general county revenues, other tax collections net -2,378,122. Sales tax fund applied -1,300,000. General fund applied from prior years -1,234,527. Total other general county revenues -4,912,649. 2025 levy to be collected in 2026, $11,213,048. And just a note on the bottom, the 2024 levy for 2025 collection was $10,208,265.
What he read is the accurate.
Okay.
That is what I have to read.
Right. Now we have the public hearing of the 2026 budget. Anybody wish to speak in public comment on the hearing of the budget? Comments on the budget? Any comments on the budget? All right, public hearing is now closed. Next on the agenda, we got resolution 72-25, adopt the 2026 budget and 2025 property tax levy to be collected in 2026. Do we have a motion? We get a motion by Mr. Russell. Any second by Mr. Vincent.
Okay, so the chair of finance would like a little presentation given of all the hard work that they went through with all of the departments to get where we are today. So I'll walk through the proposed budget with you. As a reminder, the county's finance committee is Chair Meyer, Vice Chair Vincent, Supervisor Unterschutz, Supervisor Wedwick, and Supervisor Freeman. Okay, so here's the roadmap for this morning. I will try to keep it quick. We have an introduction of the process, what budgeting season looks like here in Rusk County, a look at 2026 with expenditure and revenue highlights, followed by a high-level picture of fund balance, and then wrapping up with a summary. So the budget process is months long and involves a lot of hard work in each department. Beginning in June, the finance department gets budget worksheets ready. Throughout July and August, department heads are busy working on their budgets, and the finance department is involved in a supportive role and to help catch any discrepancies. Budgets are presented to oversight committees in either July or August, depending on how quick the departments can turn their budget worksheets around. The Finance Committee then meets to go over each budget and get the entire county budget ready for presentation to the board. This year, the Finance Committee met 6 times, and they went line by line through each of the budgets. I do want to extend a special thanks to Tanya, Sky, and Chris from Baker Tilly for their hard work. This was a unique budget season. They ensured that everything went as smoothly as possible. And also a big thank you to all the department heads and the staff in each department that are involved in preparing the budgets. So what drives the tax rate and tax levy each budget season? The first is net new construction. This is determined by the Wisconsin Department of Revenue, and it includes changes to equalized value due to construction and improvements minus any demolition or destruction. Net new construction is used as a valuation factor in determining the county's allowable levy. Then equalized value is the total value of land improvements and personal property in the county. This number excludes any TID value increases. Equalized value helps ensure the fairness in the distribution of the tax burden. So how big is your slice of the levy pie? This year's net new construction was 1.35%, which equates to a levy limit increase of $80,335. This number illustrates how difficult it is to increase the levy under current state law. $80,000 doesn't seem too significant considering the county has a $32 million budget. On the equalized value side, the county did see an increase of 17.16%, which was the 3rd highest increase in the state. So we had some pretty good growth. Getting into this year's budget, the proposed tax rate for 2026 is $6 per 1,000 of valuation, and the proposed tax levy, as Supervisor Meyer read, is $11,213,048. This is a 9.9% increase in the tax rate over last year. The next couple of slides are going to explore a few expenditure highlights. This list is not meant to be inclusive. Health and Human Services Department continues to face significant cost pressures related to out-of-home placements in both adult services and children and family. Chris, Rich, and Ashley work diligently with their staff to find the least restrictive and most appropriate placement options for their consumers, which does help keep the county's costs as low as possible. But despite these efforts, longer-term or unexpected placements do create a substantial budget impact due to the required level of care. The Finance Committee discussed in depth with administration creating a fund balance to help stabilize this budget area. Due to this, you'll notice that there is no short-term borrowing proposed for 2026 as it was for 2025. Another highlight for expenditures is personnel costs. Included in the 2026 budget on the wage side are a 3% cost of living adjustment to positions on the wage scale and in the ambulance department effective January 1st. Also, in the contract that was ratified by the board with the jailer dispatchers, a 3% wage increase is budgeted for both January 1st and July 1st. Sheriff deputies remain in negotiations. On the health insurance side, the county did receive a 9.5% renewal. To help mitigate the impact of the increase on the county, the Personnel Committee approved lowering the county contribution to the Buy Up Health Plan, which is the lower deductible plan, and also a decrease in the county paid HSA contributions. The proposed budget does include increased usage of the mining fund for economic development. Some highlights include an increase in the economic development budget of about $135,000, and this is to fund a full-time economic development and tourism specialist position, and also to continue the current contract with CETA for an additional 6 months. There were also increases in tourism, Enterprise Center, and Fritz Avenue budgets for facility maintenance needs. And then just to note, this is a change moving forward. The Forest Building 1 and Forest Building 2 budgets were combined into one budget for 2026 due to the completion of the infill building, which did connect both properties. And then finally, debt service. The board authorized an issuance of $9.5 million of general obligation notes to fund CIP needs. This borrowing increased the debt service by approximately $1.39 million in 2026. The county's total levy-supported debt is just over $20 million, with debt paid by the Blacktop Fund at $790,000 for a total bonded indebtedness of $20,891,841. The county has incurred 18.54% of its legal debt, and that is calculated as 5% of the equalized value TID in. So on the revenue side, some highlights there. We budgeted, the Finance Committee budgeted increases in investment income, sales tax, stumpage, and state funding in both the LCDD and Circuit Court departments. Shared revenue was adjusted down slightly by the state, so we lost about $12,000 in shared revenue for 2026. Department fund balance usage in the 2026 proposed budget is $746,835, and general fund usage is budgeted at $1,234,526. And I know this was a big topic in 2025, so I wanted to dive into this a little bit further. This is a breakdown of the last 5 audited years in terms of general fund usage. On average, from 2020 to 2024, the county budgeted to use $1,202,916 from the general fund, but actually ended up returning, on average, $1,657,339. 2026's budgeted usage is slightly above the average of the last 5 audited years of financials. You'll notice that in 2024, we show a usage of general fund rather than a return. This is primarily due to capital expenditures, some of which will be reimbursed when the county receives its bond. This graph shows the estimated fund balance as of December 31st of this year. These are estimates. The county's unassigned general fund balance continues to be well above the minimum 90-day reserve. Preserving fund balance buffers the county financially in case of risks like revenue and expenditure volatility, inflation, interruptions to federal and state funding, external fiscal limitations, natural disasters, aging infrastructure, and liquidity of cash reserves. Baird has presented this before. The county could also elect to utilize some fund balance to lower the debt burden on larger capital projects if they are approved. So what does this all mean? The next few slides will look at a breakdown of the county's total budget by function, and I've listed the functions up on the slides. The specific departments included in each function would be on page 8 of that report I handed out previously. The county's total 2026 budget is $32,393,372. The graph on the right shows the percentage of expenditures by function with HHS, general government, and public safety as the top 3. 2026 budgeted departmental revenues are $15,516,040. So total 2026 expenses after revenues by function are $16,125,697. After factoring in the revenues, the graph to the right shows the breakdown by function. You'll notice public safety, debt service, and general government comprise the top 3. Total expenditures of $16,125,697 exceed the county's allowable levy. After much discussion, the Finance Committee approved applying general county revenues of other tax collections, sales tax fund, and general fund to reach the proposed 2025 levy payable in 2026, which again is $11,213,048. The graph to the right shows the usage of levy broken down by function, with public safety, debt service, and general government as the top 3. You'll note that conservation and development returns to the levy primarily due to stumpage. This is a detailed breakdown of expenses, revenues, fund balance usage, and tax levy allocations for each function. The main fund balance usage in general government for 2026 is from the insurance deductible fund, and that was to help mitigate the increase in health insurance. The main fund balance usage in conservation and development is due to the closing out of the CDBG RLF housing, and the ambulance fund balance is used each year to keep the levy ask consistent. The Finance Committee had several in-depth discussions about pressures that the county budget will feel in the coming years, including a slowdown in interest income due to macro influences and an expected stabilization in sales tax as the post-COVID spending boom fades. Equipment costs continue to rise, which is especially impacting the highway department and ambulance. As seen this year with communications-related maintenance agreements, the changeover to .gov emails, and the upgrade to Office 365, technology costs are only expanding. Personnel investment will also continue to pressure the county's overall budget with rising wages, healthcare, and fringe benefits. And finally, there were several discussions surrounding maintenance needs, and those will be reassessed this spring with a refresh of the capital improvement plan. And the Finance Committee would also like to see a capital improvement plan for jointly owned buildings. So again, I would really like to thank Sky, Tanya, and Chris for all of their hard work this budget season. Chris is on virtually. We also have our new finance director, Beata, here. Today marks 1 week of her being in Rusk County. Does anyone have any questions on the 2026 proposed budget?
Any questions?
I have one question. Back, you said quite a few slides back.
Okay.
You said that the overall increase was like 9% on the levy,
On the tax rate.
on the tax rate, and last year's was like 4
Yep.
something?
Yep.
So is it the difference between the two, or is it actually, so is it actually a 5% increase from the previous year?
No, so from $5.46 up to $6 is a 9.
Oh, I see, okay, I was just looking at the, okay.
Any other questions? Any questions? Any more questions? All right. Not? Go ahead and vote now. Seventeen yes, passed by majority. All right, next, we already did 7325, so we'll go to resolution 7425, urging state support to offset fiscal impacts of federal SNAP program changes.
Is Steve able to talk?
We get a motion by Mr. Willingham and a second by Mr. Schneider.
Good morning. So today I am here to present along with Steve Lennick, he's on Zoom over there, for the SNAP program changes. So Rusk County is part of a consortium. We are part of the consortium with 12 other counties. Steve is the administrator for our consortium. And so the resolution here today is there have been changes that are going to go into effect October of 26 for SNAP benefits, so food share, where it's going to put more responsibility fiscally on the counties and the state. So what we are asking is this resolution we have as a support for the state to give counties more funding. Otherwise, it's going to significantly impact our levy ask when the county is responsible, when the county and the state are responsible for that. So Steve, do you want to chime in? Everybody, this is Steve. He is the administrator of our consortium for economic support.
Yeah, good morning. Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me?
You're muted, I think, Steve.
Okay, can you hear me now?
There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Ashley, for allowing me to attend. So just to echo and piggyback off of what Ashley said, this resolution was established through the Wisconsin Counties Association, and it really is a support resolution to make counties whole from that reduction in the federal match. It does not change the work requirement for SNAP. It doesn't change SNAP policy or procedural changes. This is solely just for the fiscal piece, since all states across the country are losing a 25% federal match. It really is, rather than coming from county levy, it would be more of a state aid. And I can tell you, I'm sorry, I can tell you that with future projections, federal year 2027, it would cost Rusk County about south of $60,000 if this state aid does not come through. So that's what, that's kind of how the sausage is made with regard to the funding.
Who would stop the state aid and why?
What's happening is the federal government is not.
Ashley, why don't you swing the microphone in front of you?
Can you hear me now? Okay, so what happened is federal funding was cut. So to make up the difference, the state and the county are going to be responsible for what's left. So we're asking the state to give us more money so it doesn't come out of levy.
So
That's absolutely correct. It's the sixth whereas that probably answers that. It previously used to be a 50-50 match, and now it's going to be a 75-25. So this is to offset that 25% gap to make it whole.
So we're gonna potentially be spending a little more money on this, but we're also gonna be spending money building a new jail. We've got the unfunded HHS mandates, we've got housing. It doesn't mention anything about all these other stuff that the state requires us to spend money on in this resolution. I feel like the way this is written comes across kind of political. Like I could support it if it mentioned a lot of all the stuff that is affecting us. But it seems kind of targeted and political. And I understand the Wisconsin Counties Association may be pushing this, but I think this may need to go to HHS because it sounds like it has not gone to the committee, and maybe they could come up with a list of reasons why we need more money from the state, rather than just, there's some stuff going on in the federal government with stamp funding. It just kind of gives off a political vibe here. Mr. Snyder.
I can agree with what you said, but look what's happened in Washington DC the last week. They only wanted to discuss one thing. Otherwise, half of them went home and had a vacation. That's a perfectly valid point, but there are people out there who need to eat. There's abuses of it, and nobody's going to say there isn't. But the Democrats and the Republicans have both had shots at fixing it. That hasn't happened. Government contracts are going way overboard on things, which is a lot more money than, this is a little bit of it. I agree with what you're saying, but I think we should take items one time at a time. Hopefully the politicians will follow us one thing at a time, and instead of taking a vacation and going home and doing nothing. So I'm talking about federal, not the state. I support this. There are problems. Anybody who says there aren't hasn't looked at the situation. But there are people out there who depend on it. And that's why I'm supporting it.
Yeah, we're just talking a lot more millions of dollars for a jail, and Decatur County housing cost us more than that this year. To me, this seems more like virtue signaling than actual. I mean, if we want to get the state to help us out, I 100% agree with this. The way this is written just seems like it's targeting, like you said, it's targeting the federal government on one issue that they've worked on, so to me it seems political. I think it could be rewritten. Definitely ask the state for money, but I think this could be rewritten.
It's the body's choice.
Mr. Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm reviewing the text. I think I agree with you that there are more things that we should be asking the state for help with. Things like the in-person commitments and other HHS issues that we experienced in 2025, which basically torpedoed our budget. I would like to see some kind of a resolution with text like that, or some kind of a way to communicate with the state that is not something that's good for the counties and all. However, when I read this, I don't see any language that targets a political party or any entity other than the federal government in general. I think, along with Mr. Schneider, it's broad enough to target all parties at that level and not targeted towards a specific administration.
Any more discussion? Any more discussion? Go ahead and vote now. 14 yes, passed by majority.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we got discussion and possible motion, sheriff evidence storage facility.
We've been dealing with it in property. We just wanted some clarification where the board wants us to go. We discussed purchasing one of the options, purchasing the gate building from the city. We're building a new storage unit facility to store stuff in. And we're looking $500 $100 to $1 million to build a new building, store the stuff in. It's hard to get estimates when contractor don't really want to give up estimates on just rough cost. We don't know what we want to build yet, but want direction out from the board on which way we want to go. Or do we, I mean, what, we can work on it for a long time, but we got to have direction on which way we want to go with it. If you go either way, it's gonna take a lot of work to deal with contractors or RFPs out, and or if we gotta deal with trying to buy the Eats building that we're in now. So it's good.
Do you have a price from the city, how much we'd have to pay to buy them out?
We'd have to probably get a lawyer involved and do negotiations with them.
I think there's a bigger discussion that we should have on some of that stuff coming up.
We'd have to get somebody involved to negotiate with them. But with direction on which way we want to go. We need to, we've been working on it, what, 3-4 months, and
Mr. Moore?
Just wondering if you've considered the old highway shop building for storage, if and when we build a new facility out there?
it was brought up, but we don't even know if we're doing the new one yet, so we don't want to dedicate a building and we don't know what it's gonna be a year or two before something even happens with that, really.
Yeah.
It was discussed, but it was, you wanted us to work on something and bring it back to you, and we worked on it for 4 months, and that's what we came up with, so we just need direction.
Mr. Willingham?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to see, I don't want to use the word study because that sounds like a very problem. I would like to see some facts and figures documented to show what this facility actually needs to be. How much stuff needs to be stored, what is the level of environmental, temperatures and humidities and everything else that's required for that kind of storage. Because I'm hearing all kinds of things that we can't do this, we can't do that, we have to have this type of storage for this and that. And I'm also aware that, well, while it's a problem, not everything that's currently being stored is evidence. So what kind of a facility do we need to store evidence? What kind of a facility do we need to store whatever else we're storing along with the evidence? And have a written document with facts and figures and document it. What is required and what isn't required, so that we can make an informed decision about what the capacity, what size facility is needed and what type of facility.
Mr. Vincent?
Thank you. I missed earlier, was there a timeline that we need to be out of the current facility? Or anything like that, or are we
I don't think there was a.
working on a transition plan? I'd like to, I think that it's important to know that there are folks on the Joint Management Committee. I know that, I hate to speak for Supervisor Ziesler while he's not here, but he's shown some aptitude with working with the city on some plans towards the Gates buildings and other joint managed properties. And I think that we need to have the discussion regarding what happens with joint managed properties in order to actually resolve this discussion here. Second point is piggybacking off of what Supervisor Willingham said. Absolutely, we really do need to know what the requirements or what the Sheriff's Department needs to make the final determination. At this time, I would probably not support the building of a new building for this effort.
Mr. Snyder?
I would really like to see, I've seen documents on surrounding counties and what they got, and they're all over the place. On hot, cold, fence with barbed wire, we don't even know the square footage we need for what we've got. I mean, there's a fairly good idea out there.
No, it was roughly around 10,000 square feet is what we would need.
Okay, based on,
Based what Phil had gave us figures for, what had to be in heated and what didn't. This is, heated and cold storage building. It was roughly around 10,000 square feet
Or heated or total?
total. But there's so many different designs, and it was hard to get a contractor to help you design something that we're gonna have to put out for, nobody's gonna spend time on something that they're not getting paid for.
That's the whole highway shop.
Old one.
That's a lot of space.
Mr. Kudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, I think Mr. Meyer may have already answered my question, but would the current highway shop be sufficient square footage?
I would think so.
Anyone?
I would believe so, yes.
Turn it down, right?
Which then would tell me that possibly we
Question to
should
answer after.
seriously consider
It's not in there.
pressing forward with a new garage so that we could vacate that. Instead of building a new building, we have a building. And we are in dire need of a highway shop, so that's the direction I would.
I guess being chair of highway to address that. The plan is not to vacate our shop now. I mean, if we do build a new one, we are tearing down 2 of our previous buildings. Some of that will go into the new building, but not all of it. We still have other outlaying equipment we would store in the facility now, that we have now.
So technically, what you're saying then is that there wouldn't be enough room?
There would be, but then you got a security issue because it's a shared building. That was brought up in a concern. It's basically, for the sheriff's storage, we're dedicating one building just for that.
Could you wall something off?
Because it all comes up to how much money you want to spend and.
So there's a records part of that storage, correct? And so, I mean, I know it's maybe earmarked for something else that I'm not aware of at this time, but we do have the clinic. Would that be suitable to at least store the records portion of it? How many square footage of the records?
That was minimal for records. Where they're storing their stuff now is right around 22 or 23,000 square feet is what they're using right now. Which
That's double than basically what the current county shop is, right?
I don't know, the current county, yeah, it's probably about the same size as the current shop and storage.
So the current shop is 20,000 square feet?
It probably would be with the shop itself. But that was,
Granted, that wouldn't be, like you said, it wouldn't be all vacated because the new shop doesn't take into consideration all the stuff that needs to be stored.
I mean, we still got backhoes and graders and other stuff that may not fit in the new shop. Because we're tearing down 2 of our other outbuildings to put the new one up in the plan.
One of those outbuildings was a salt shed, wasn't it?
Yes.
If you don't store anything in it.
No, just salt, but we got our sign shop and then there's graders and payloaders in the one that get stored in there all winter that's gonna be tore down.
Gotcha.
That's good.
Ambulance bay in the hospital? Can't you use that one?
No, that was tore down. So is there any direction?
Mr. Meyer?
Board?
I think if we're gonna spend money, there's food for thought for the construction committee. If we're gonna spend money to a whole nother new building, my thought is you might as well spend a little more on what you're already building or get the most bang for your buck out of it. And then I've always had the impression, why couldn't we take the old shop and convert that into storage for the sheriff and / ambulance? The roof got fixed on it in the last year. I mean, it's got some life to it. Because I think that'd be I'm not mistaken, the ambulance storage is also another issue. It's out there, it's on county property, it's done. You decide you want to fence something in, you can fence it in. I don't know, just a thought. Make your shop or the storage area a little bigger or whatever that may be, and instead of starting off maybe a whole nother project, it's just, I don't know. Yeah.
What I'm kind of hearing is get the sheriff to put together a fact sheet for us of what's required, state statutes on what they need. Joint management's going to continue to have discussions. And in the meantime, maybe the construction committee can at least explore the option about what it is to fix up the old highway shop. And that way we got a few things working together to give us some options on direction. I don't know what everybody's thoughts on that is, but that kind of hits everything I think that's in.
That's worth looking at.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean we commit, but that's at least the direction of what to sniff for the capital committee.
The police storage right now requires both heated and non-heated.
It's all heated right now.
Yeah, it's all heated right now, but it's all one section. You
Does it
could,
need to be all heated?
you'd have to like
Or what's that? No.
build off a separate thing. I think that if he, the sheriff brought a fact sheet of what's required in the state statute, he could probably, we'd have all that information in front of us.
He gave that.
Yeah, that exists already.
And then what other counties are doing, like look at, Sawyer County, what's Sawyer County doing?
Because another option too would be that, if we were going to utilize the old shop for part of that storage, especially the ambulance, we could also consider possibly vacating the current living quarters for the ambulance workers and somehow do a little redesigning inside that shop and set that up where they can stay right there as well. I don't know if that requires some kind of a zoning change with the city.
Maybe Mr. Corsinger question.
I think it's a little more complicated than you think, but anything's possible.
I didn't say it was uncomplicated. I just throwing it out as an idea.
Possible.
Any more thoughts on what direction?
Just keep talking about it.
Can you clarify the joint management direction? Because Mr. Freeman and Jerry are both on joint management as well.
Well, Mr. Vincent had made a comment about, there's been some talks with Mr. Ziesler that he's been working with joint management.
For that.
And I think there's probably a broader discussion about joint management.
Is Supervisor Ziesler on the Joint Management Committee?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And the other thing I would say is I think there's a broader discussion on joint management buildings coming up probably next month. So,
The contract.
I think we can discuss that probably next month on when we discuss joint management. Go ahead.
So, after Sheriff Reed this morning, I just want to state his opinion based on the current storage, without having a fact sheet from you. His opinion was that pending the city's pricing range, acquiring the current building might be the most fiscally responsible, obviously, pending the price. And it's an opinion only, just want to state that's important. Thank you.
Well, that could be in our broader management discussion next month.
Yeah, I wouldn't put that on joint management.
Well, this will go to the board. I would like to have a board discussion on joint management buildings. All right. If you could get that fact sheet and what the other counties are doing and send it out, if he's already got that.
Well, and also, I don't know if you can speak on this a little bit more too. It also becomes a district attorney issue because a lot of that evidence, once it's in the court system, the DA sometimes has a opinion. that as well.
Yeah, I
know
mean,
somebody's talked to the DA so far?
what's going to happen, and I'm trying to keep my mouth shut, but what's going to happen is you have to look at the security aspect of it, and then you have to look at the timeline as far as when evidence has to be stored, how it has to be stored. And that all had to have to be worked into a plan if you built a new building, or even if you retrofitted, which I'm sure has already been figured out in the current facility, which is why I'm hearing the sheriff say the cheapest thing is to stay where we are, because that's probably already been worked out in that structure. That's just from my experience, having worked in various roles as a DA, as, a county person. So I'm just telling you that I understand where you're coming from, and I understand what you're saying too. But the DA can't order the sheriff on how to store material. The DA can tell the sheriff, we got to abide by the law, and that solves the problem. But they don't order each other around. They have to be separate.
There are other entities using that.
The total building, yes, but the secure portion, no.
So are we talking about buying the whole building? Or
That's the way I took his.
The opinion was that might, he said, in the cost.
Yeah.
That might be the most reasonable.
So, I guess that should be considered as well then too. If we decide to go that route, we would have some income from the people that are, whoever's in their lease. Worked out.
Mr. Willingham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I recall not too long ago that there were some discussions between the county and the city about maybe swapping some joint-owned property so that one entity would own this building and that building, the other entity would, and we wouldn't have any more jointly owned buildings, which would, prevent some of our joint problems. So, is that still a possibility that we should pursue? That this particular current facility building would be?
I think that we should have a discussion about that next month.
And, because I think maybe there were some discussions that could have resolved around not having any cash exchanging. And if we can avoid actually having to bring out any cash, I think that would be a win for the county and the city both. So if that's an extent possibility, then I think we should pursue it.
I think it's at least worth a discussion, because you can have multiple people owning something and multiple people on the same separate pages, even if me and you owned a building together and we don't see it the same way. It'd probably cause problems between us. It just.
We're all on the same page, we just don't know which page that is.
So I think it's worth a discussion myself.
Very good.
And, maybe it won't go anywhere, maybe it will, but I think that we'll bring that discussion back. Anybody else?
What do you want property to do with it?
Well, send us that fact sheet, because it sounds like there's one already made. That way we have that. And then, while the construction committee's meeting, what would it hurt to at least see what it would take that option, either a go or a no-go. And then next month, we can see what happens with joint management. It sounds like nobody here yet, until we know this other stuff, if we're doing it or not, probably wants to commit to building the new building. And yes, somebody does feel that way. What I'm gathering is nobody wants to commit to that till we got a chance to explore just a couple other more options. And if those don't work out, then, we might come back and say, well, we're just gonna have to spend the money. That
Won't really give me an answer.
Yeah.
Did you expect one?
Not really.
We've got 18 politicians in a room that you expect.
I think we should swap part for Marvin Gardens.
Yeah. So I guess, unless somebody cares to make a motion, I think we're waiting a month. Mr. Vincent.
Mr. Chairman, do we need a motion to direct joint property to have a discussion at their meeting, or can we?
It was already done months ago.
It's already mostly done?
Well, you would bring in situations of what we thought.
I don't think we need a motion for what we've said so far, but I mean, you could make a motion if you felt better about putting specifics in there.
Just thinking about trying to get an answer at least for the Gates building, right, that we would be talking about, but I don't see a need. If nobody else sees, I don't really see a need.
Mr. Kudo?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. It sounds like, per what Mr. Willingham brought forward, that, we should discuss, entertain some discussion with the city about if there is a building that we could kind of trade up with them. Like say, you take this one, we'll take that one, or either that, or get a cost from them on what it would be for us to buy out that building. That would maybe be a good starting place. At least then we'd know whether or not we have to proceed with looking at building something new or, et cetera. We could try to utilize what we have or work with the city to see if they're willing to do something on that order as what Mr. Willingham had suggested. Or get a cost from them to see if that's feasible for us.
What I'll do is I'll plan on having on the next agenda.
Could there be a committee that could meet before that could come back with some answers?
Good.
So all of those buildings were appraised 2 years ago, and then we also have the debt on all of them. So I think we would be ready to go with the numbers for you.
Okay. I mean, to get together with the city to see if they'd be willing to do some kind of a.
Gauge the interest. To kind of gauge the interest.
We'll give you this half of our building if you give us your half of that building, whatever,
So we did that in 2022,
Exactly.
what Dave mentioned. So we looked at the appraised value of Gates, Enterprise, and Fritz, I think, and then what the debt service and the operating debt were across those three buildings. And we proposed the city to take Enterprise and Fritz and the county to retain Gates because there would be no essentially no cash exchange, right? Because the amount of debt on all of those buildings was about the same. And that didn't really go anywhere 3 years ago. But that's the same kind of thing that Beata and I could come with those figures for you in December, and then you could nominate a negotiator, if you will.
If you throw in a couple of future draft choices or something, just.
There you go, yeah.
I mean, approaching the city again to see whether they've changed their attitude.
I think it's just at least we're trying. If you say no,
I mean, yeah, the worst thing to say is no, but.
Yeah. It's not going to tell you one way or another. Mr. Meyer.
Thank you. So is this something, or maybe I'm putting the cart in front of the horse here, do we want to address this at all from a fiscal standpoint at finance with the upcoming meeting, with some of the things that are going on, or you have it all laid out? We don't need to, we need to look at anything and review some of the numbers, or you guys good with what you think you got?
We can give a presentation at finance.
I'm just asking what the rest of the board thinks. Maybe I'm barking up a dead tree, but.
Probably wouldn't hurt. Just review.
Because we can do that or we cannot do
You
that.
said 22 was the last time?
In 2022, yeah.
So things may have changed a little.
You kind of think if the values went up, hopefully they all went up the same percentage. So you think the baseline would still, at least if you're splitting properties. Unless you're talking about selling.
Well, if you
Good to know.
major upgrades, some of them didn't.
Yeah, I guess that is true. And then you got the infill building now too, which wasn't there. All right, any other suggestions? Jerry's just looking for direction here. All right, well, if nobody's going to make a motion, but for what was stated so far, I don't feel like we need a motion specific.
I'm just asking.
Yeah. So, and yes, you specifically want to make a motion on something. I don't think it's necessary.
Be an awful long one.
Yeah, I mean, it would, if you added in all the little parts here.
3 or 4 committees involved, so it'd be, yeah.
If everybody's good with it, then
Everybody just takes their direction and
yeah,
runs with it. We'll be
we have
fine.
an agenda item, probably a closed session, so we can, discuss what we'd be willing to offer or not offer, whatever, and go from there. All right. Next on discussion possible motion is jail plumbing quote.
Probably just trying to take up the whole agenda.
You may want to turn that on, Brett. I don't think it's.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I have the lungs for it.
Pretty loud if not.
Drop it once, see what happens.
Invariably, it'll be on.
It's definitely on. All right, good morning. So this quote was sparked by there's a formal complaint filed by a tenant within the building about some leaking issues that we're having that stem from the jail and affect the first floor. So the property committee tasked me with getting a quote as of what we would need to do to replace the current plumbing within the jail. Of course, there was concerns with money spent here and possibly with a new project as well. So I reached out to GF Ahern. They had worked on our bathroom project this year and are willing to come back out and do a free quote for us for what needs to be updated in the jail as far as leaking parts, valves, pipes, and then also drains. Some issues that we did run into that increased the price was with the Department of Corrections. When you start upgrading fixtures within the jail, there's some parts that are grandfathered in to where you need to bring those up to code, such as our combination sink toilet units that are in the jail. Those would need to be moved away from porcelain, brought up to code. So with that being said, that quote for what's necessary within the jail right now is $420,600 with a lead time of approximately 6 to 8 weeks to complete that project. We would run into some issues. If there's any questions, we can defer to Tom as well. But there are some issues where we begin closing blocks where we would imagine some inmates would have to be taken out of county with an approximate cost tacked onto that of about, we figured not to exceed $10,000 there as well. So we would put that on as well. So
What was the first number you gave us for the quote? Sorry.
$420,600. Of course, that's not in stone, but it's a very good number.
So that's like replacing what, porcelain to stainless steel? And was there another estimate that you had just to put a Band-Aid on it or not?
This is essentially a Band-Aid. Nothing has been upgraded since it was built. Everything is original. So your plastic parts, filters, filter housing, things that you need to replace are getting brittle to the point where if you try and fix it, you break it and you need a new part. So.
Well, that's kind of what's been being done so far is just Band-Aids, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, you've already been doing the Band-Aid part, just. Gets us a little
40 million.
Mr. Meyer.
So, have you been able to narrow it down? Is it a specific reason? I mean, I caught part of this, what you just said. Is it like a specific, is it the piping underneath? Or is it all different areas, like where it attaches to things upstairs, or?
Yeah, so our issues that cause leaking to the north of us, those are all drains. That would be all that's replaced on the cell block section of the jail would be all the floor drains. So your overflows in the center of the blocks and then the shower drains would be done. The issues we run into that causes the leaking into the evidence lockers and Sally Port, those are partial drain and partial those valves that I had spoken about earlier. So it's kind of two separate issues on either end of the jail.
And even though DOC knows we're probably looking at pursuing something, they still would want us to upgrade.
Once you start repairing, that's when.
Right.
It's, the problem is once you dig into it, then you gotta bring it up to the new code, right?
Exactly.
Ms. Good?
I'm wondering if you can use this new plumbing in the new building. So we aren't wasting that money. We can reuse it because it's new.
They could possibly reuse the valves, maybe, but I won't give a for sure answer on that.
Stool, or whatever you use, your sinks.
That we would run into issues with transition, where if we were to pull those sinks and toilets, we'd have to store inmates out of county because they wouldn't have access to proper facilities.
You have to move them the same day that the prisoners move.
Mr. Vincent?
Lots of money.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Did we have a timeline for remedy on this one? Like, if we were not to pursue these repairs at this time, do we have time to build the new jail and not incur this $500,000 cost?
We could try. The best answer I can give you on that is, as a maintenance department, we will do our absolute best to try and minimize leaks and chase them down as quickly as possible.
But there's no legal reason to, okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure.
Mr. Wedwick?
But all of this, there would have to be RFPs put out to do this because you've only got one quote from them and they were just doing kind of as a favor. So we really don't know. That was their estimate, but if we vote to go ahead with it or whatever, there's got to be RFPs put out for all that.
Yep, correct.
They'd be led for competitive bid.
It doesn't have to be.
Mr. Snyder?
I agree with Terry. We got to go for bids and find out what the bottom line is. This was just an estimate.
Well, I think part of this, though, is he wants to know, do we even want to pursue that? Because, you know, depending on if the jail project goes through, is that something we want them to keep getting the 5-gallon buckets for the next couple of years? Or do we want them to pursue it? Mr. Willingham?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I understand, and that's a good suggestion about the facility, or the equipment, but the drains and so forth, if we're ever going to repurpose the building, we're not going to be able to just not have something done with them, right?
If it was repurposed, likely those shower drains and things would not need to be used. We could cap those. Yeah.
And you wouldn't have to follow the DOC code if it was repurposed for general government, right? That's specifically, there's added cost because of, if you dig into it right now when we're housing inmates, there's the DOC.
Haven't there been some discussions about converting the current jail facility to some sort of facility for, let's say, juvenile offenders or something like that, still require that same?
Nothing that I've been brought up to speed on.
What's that?
Nothing I've been brought up to speed on.
Well, I'm not sure that would be.
If you remember the last board meeting, maybe it's 2 board meetings ago, Kurt did say that he was going to add a bid to whatever went out for the jail to remodel that building into useful space. So when the quotes come back, I would assume we'd at least have a price of it.
I guess my question, based on everything else, was whether this upgrade could be included in the bonded expenses. If we were going to upgrade the facility for some further law enforcement function. So that we wouldn't have to spend $500,000 out of levy dollars, we would be able to use it.
Not really. Not really. Because it's a different project. Really a different project. it's not what you bonded for. If you look at what your bonding was for, it wasn't for a renovation of the facility to keep being used for what it is. Now, you could probably pull it in if you said it was part of the building of the new jail and then the renovation of the old facility, like you did say. But you gotta be very careful how you do that, because then it's, the work would be the renovation work. For the new facility you're gonna use it for in the future, that means you've made a decision that you're gonna build a new jail. You can't have.
I'm not gonna do that.
Well, that's what I'm trying to warn you of, you know.
I'm just.
Talk out of both sides of your mouth.
Yeah, sometimes out of the top too, but I'm just looking for informed decisions so that we know what our options are. That's my intentions.
Mr. Meyer?
Some might deem this as dumb, but I'm gonna throw it out there anyhow. Is it, if we decided to go forward with the jail and it was gonna take whatever, a couple of years to get it completed, in the meantime, instead of spending all the money to redo this plumbing, could the sheriff relocate to the old clinic building in the meantime until the new jail was done? I mean, is that even feasible to move some offices into that building? I know you have inmates and Uber and stuff that comes in. Could you, is there parts of the department that could go to that building to eliminate the issue with the water damage that you're dealing with in the meantime, instead of spending, I don't know if that's
Staffing
or not. Costs of relocation.
Trying to keep costs down, right?
Well, better than putting 400,000 into
Official
plumbing.
funds, yes, maybe, but at the same time, the logistics of having that offsite and all the other IT functions and other things that the department has to maintain, it might end up being more problematic than fixing the leak problem.
Because it also sounds like if we do the plumbing, you guys are probably gonna be kind of out of whack in there. Well, that's going on too.
Yeah. They'd be mildly displaced, probably an office at a time, as they did the drains above that.
Trying to limit it.
I didn't think it was the best idea, but I just had to say it.
Okay, any more discussion? More questions? Anybody?
Yeah. This is,
Oh,
it went out.
that's good.
Broke your laptop.
Oh, were you trying to speak or are you just saying it's not working?
I thought if I wanted to, I can't. I'm not.
Are you getting a hold of IT? Or are you looking at it?
Are we gonna have Brett then get exact quotes or whatever? or-
Yes, if somebody wants to make that motion. that could be-
First, we gotta, all right, it's gonna be at least 3 years before the jail's done, if it goes through. We gotta do something. It's leaking into the offices over there. One of these times it's gonna leak enough, we're gonna have damaged equipment. We gotta do something and upgrade it. The reason this came through property, we had them get an initial quote, didn't realize it was gonna be that high. Now we gotta put it up for RFP. Before we even do that, it's the same thing. We gotta decide if we're either gonna fix a problem. This is gonna be a 3-year problem. After 3 years and the new jail starts up, it's still a problem because it's still plumbing. I mean, then you gotta worry about what are we gonna do with it then? You gotta figure out if we're gonna go ahead with it, do something, because it's a problem, and it's only. I mean, instead of a monthly issue, now it's usually, 2-3 times a month they're down there issue. We gotta figure out if we're gonna fix it or if they're just gonna keep Band-Aiding it. You know, it was brought to our attention, we got an estimate, but now even an RFP, that's a month or 2 out to do something with that. Before we even do an RFP, we gotta decide if we wanna even go ahead with it. We got an estimate, it ain't a true number, but to put an RFP out, we gotta decide if we're gonna do the project because we need the money and where we're getting it from. Which I would assume general fund. Didn't you see?
Not enough in contingency.
Maybe a general fund.
But we gotta do something, or, eventually it's gonna end up costing us more money, because of damage is leaking into what, the armory?
The last one was in the armory, yeah.
The last leak was in the armory. Well, there's a lot of equipment and stuff in the armory that's getting leaked into. There's, evidence they're storing out in the Sally Port that got leaked on. And we gotta get it, in my opinion, we gotta do something. You can't Band-Aid something like that that's having issues twice a month for 3 years.
Sorry, I know I keep jumping up. So ultimately, this is also still our building, so even if we do build another jail, when all of us are out in a new facility, if this is our building, we've got to take care of it and make sure that we're still using it and it's not terribly damaged by the end of the future project, if that happens.
So what we need today is probably a motion.
Go out for RF, we gotta figure out where we're gonna get the funding.
Yeah, and you could send something to finance if you need.
Jerry, can you hit?
It won't let me undo it now.
Yeah, I can't
do anything.
request either.
Okay, well, Mr. Kudo raised his hand. Somebody, if other people just raise their hand until she's got this working.
Kudo then what?
What's that?
Kudo then what?
Yep, I got Woodwick on deck. Everybody else that needs to speak next, raise their hand.
Yeah, I'll get IT on there.
Next, so Mr. Chairman.
You're on.
Thank you, sir. So I would,
Oh, no.
I think what Mr. Biller has said is good sound logic. And so in regards to that and taking that into consideration, I will make the motion that we go ahead and get an RFP out to get.
You're making a motion to go ahead with an RFP?
Yes. Get an RFP out and find out exactly what we'd be looking at for the cost, and at that point, make a decision to proceed.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second? The motion is to go ahead and put out an RFP for the jail plumbing. We got a second for Mr. Schneider. All right, now discussion, and I'll give you first option, Mr. Woodrick, because you had your hand up before.
My point is that if we're putting out RFPs, then we better be prepared to go ahead with them. We don't want contractors doing RFPs if we have no intention of going ahead with the project. If we are putting out RFPs, we should be following through on that.
So a good point is if you vote yes on that, make sure you're ready to vote yes when they come back, at least if they're within that price range. Now, if it doubles, I can understand that you might.
I motion to proceed with repairs once we made a decision on the RFP.
Well, your motion was just to issue out.
No, I said, and proceed with repairs once we knew what the cost.
Proceed with the repairs.
Separate?
Yes.
They have to be separate?
What the cost is.
Because we don't know what we don't have the RFPs back. I think once the RFPs come back, then you.
I said to go ahead and get the RFPs and then make a decision on which RFP we want to go with and proceed with the repairs.
See the.
But there is a potential that you want to accept any of the bids for some, I mean, there is a potential that you could not accept any bid if they come back.
Then we wouldn't proceed with the repairs, obviously.
So maybe for now, the motion would be just to get the RFPs to come back and then vote on accepting or not. If you're voting to proceed with.
That should all go, like, it should be as flow. I mean, you know.
Property could approve the RFPs if we know we're taking it out of general fund or where we're getting the money from.
What is the funding?
So
Gotta have a funding source.
if you're making the motion to go ahead with the RFPs, then your motion funding source, such as general fund balance. Something there.
Whatever, then, yeah. I mean, the RFPs come through and property suggests one or whatever, then they also then suggest to where the funding source should originate from.
So you're not voting on accepting the RFPs until You're voting, right now, you're just making a motion to continue with the RFPs, to get the
Saying,
process.
I want this thing to flow, get it done. I mean, I'm sick of hearing about people having sewage falling down on their desks and stuff. We need to correct this.
Yeah,
So let's get it moving.
yeah. So,
If I may. I got a little bit of a problem with designating a funding source right now. I think it should go through finance, because who knows, maybe we'll find something other than, I doubt it, general fund, but I would like to have the opportunity to at least make a recommendation from the fiscal side of it.
so your motion is,
Okay, so get the RFPs out, refer it to finance to make a recommendation. And then property,
have property, make
pick the.
recommendation on the RFP.
Yeah,
Okay,
all encompassing,
that sounds good.
and then bring it back to the board to make the final decision.
You wouldn't have to come back to
Don't
them.
have to then.
Oh, true, that's true.
As a board of
That's what we're deciding
designated
today.
authority.
Mr. Schneider, are you good with that?
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second.
Could you repeat the motion?
So the motion is to proceed with getting RFP for the plumbing, the jail plumbing, and to have property make a recommendation on the RFP and
Refer to finance.
refer to finance to come up with a funding source. Mr. Schneider.
And I would say property might be able to just say, we don't want to make the decision on this because finance understands the whole picture, so. I don't think.
They could forward it on. and
They should both have
if
discussion
they're
in it.
goofy, Any of the committees could forward it to the board too.
Yeah.
We should at least give us a recommendation on the RFP.
Yeah.
Or, you know, that,
Yeah,
I don't
let's-
feel that should be our
Yeah.
finances decision.
Mr. Vincent.
Mr. Chairman, as I'm listening to the discussion, I'm wondering, like, first of all, I think that if this is going to be a problem for the entirety of any kind of construction project that would replace this funding, we can still address the problem. But I'm wondering if we're a little premature going out for RFP before we vote on the jail project, because it may inform the scope and severity of what we choose to repair. Would it be possibly more wise to do this vote immediately after the vote on the jail and highway projects in December?
Any more discussion, Mr. Kudo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So regardless of whether or not the jail project goes through or not, we still have the issue. It needs to be corrected.
There's bathrooms upstairs above the second floor that goes into that one, that goes through the whole building. It's an issue.
So,
We could always put out an RFP and not accept any of the bids if
when do we
just a month
expect the
further ahead.
bids to come back?
I think that timeline was shifted to January.
Because it could affect,
vote
it
on
could
the
affect the funding source, right?
Yep.
What's going on for the chambers?
Funding, with the scope, do we feel like the scope would change, or it is what it is?
Pretty much is what it is.
Mr. Wedwick?
But you said, and I refresh my memory on that, that they were putting out, when they were going to do bids, prospective things on the jail, that they were going to include, he was going to have another floor remodeling and of the space there and everything, and that could include the plumbing. And that was a separate thing, just like there's going to be a separate thing for a skyway, you know, that's not part of the original thing, but that's going to be bid separately. So I think you were right in that, in what he was saying, that two things, the bids that they were putting out, there would be something for remodeling the old space up there, and that could include the plumbing.
So maybe,
So that could be coming out of those funds.
maybe if we want her to have the RFP for just that go out at the same time as he sends out the remodel RFP to try to get them back around the same time. That way we have both options.
Well, that remodel should include, you know, the repairing whatever needs to be, you know, when that comes in. that extra estimate for the remodel.
Right, and so I think you said it, so I think when he's putting that out, that doesn't prohibit us from getting RFPs so on this current thing.
Yeah.
But if he puts that in there, you know,
Yeah.
it'd be a double
So
safety net.
I will say, I clearly understand fully, likely that an RFP for repair to remodel versus this quote would probably look a lot different. Because this is for toilets, sinks, showers, those types of issues where if they remodel, we can't speak for sure, but I would say likely there's not going to be a need for those things in the future.
We're going to have, can't have leaking pipes and toilets and everything.
I think they need to be restarted.
They need to be.
This is works, but like that's what.
We have a timeline too. I mean, we're looking at trying to get done soon versus 2-3 years down the road.
Right? Any more discussion? Any more discussion?
Yours works. You just read
Okay, the motion is
I think we have to restart.
go out for RFP for the repair of the plumbing in the jail, and to have property make a decision on the RFP and to go to finance with the funding source. Any more discussion?
Give us just a couple minutes. Unclear.
I'm gonna give 1 second to see if this computer reboots, otherwise we'll have to go
We'll
old school.
just, you have to redo the.
Okay,
I can roll call through it.
we're gonna do a verbal.
Ready?
Okay.
Mr. Gorsinger,
Your email says. Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mr. Hanson,
Yes.
Ms. Good. Yes. Mr. Willingham,
Yes.
Mr. Russell,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mr. Hampton,
Yes.
Mr. Biller,
Yes.
Ms. Halber. Yes. Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Wedwig,
Yes.
Ms. Voss. Yes. Mr. Kudo,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
and Mr. Meyer.
Yes.
Mr. Undershoot.
Yes.
I got you in there the last. Okay, so it's.
17 yes. That's the majority. Great. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have the Rusk County Ambulance Garage.
This is only happening. That's gonna be. She's not liking it because it's not, you don't know, it's an app called Chat. It's gonna be just if it's not necessary. I agree.
I'll go first.
You've been doing really good at speaking today. Do it again.
Jerry and I met with part of the Police and Fire Commission, a couple other board members, and we ran into a brick wall. So we took it back to ambulance, which is where property originally referred it to, or emergency services. And there was a motion today to see if we can calm everything down and get this to go. The motion passed unanimously to go send it to property for the next step. The best we can do. There are some input into it from the city. There are some hopefully positive signs where the motion I made today was to reduce the base rate down to 13.6, I believe, and a 10% increase in 25, a 5% increase in 26, 7, and 8. And the rental of the fire hall would go back to $1. This is negotiation, so who knows what's going to happen to it.
This is for the rate for the.
He's talking about.
Yeah, for them.
Police.
Because they were not going to discuss anything with that. They wanted almost $25 a square foot from the ambulance to use the fire hall. So that's why we're trying to negotiate something out of this. We have no choice. So we'll see. It will be on properties agenda next month. And we'll see what happens there.
What time we got that property committee working?
They're so decisive.
So there's nothing to be decided today.
Is there any questions or discussion? Mr. Wedwick?
I just see if this works.
Where's that committee?
There you go.
Where's it?
I attend the Lason Fire and Police Commission meetings. And this has been this $24,000 to rent a fire station for the ambulance is tit for tat because they are still very incensed about having the increase for the city police over here and the rent on this thing when they were told, here it is, it's non-negotiable, this is it. And that was like 2 years ago, I believe, or something like that. And so this is something that has been in their craw for a long, long time. So if we kind of withdraw that and maybe they will withdraw this other and go back to, because the lease for the ambulance at the fire station is $1 a year and it ends 12/31. The city has already given notice that they will not renew that at this point. Well, they'll renew it for $24,000 a year. And so this is something that we will discuss at property again, but it would be rescinding a motion that had already been done and for the city and see where we go. No guarantees.
Okay, and we'd still have time.
Which, I don't know, that's kind of we already have a contract with them for the city lease, so we're changing a lease we already have. We wouldn't be changing a lease that we already have. Which would probably have to come back here, I would assume. So it's not like it's gonna get done in a month.
And I did ask the mayor at Jerry in my meeting with him, if we continue to negotiate, will that extend the date? And he said, yes. Won't close on December.
The property is meeting on December 3rd.
What is the original concern by the city again? Because I wasn't here when
They were given literally an ultimatum that we are increasing the rent $5,000 a year on the portion that, well, the city police and officers in here. And then it would go up 5% a year, maybe even more than that. And that's why they started looking to move the city police out of here and get another building and et cetera, because they were incensed at the ultimatum given them, you will do this, no discussion.
So they returned with their own ultimatum.
So it's tit for tat, exactly.
what is the cost of getting rid of that ultimatum? Or returning it to what it would originally
it would revert back to what the original thing was, plus a 10% increase, I believe, for 2025, and then a 5% increase for 2026 and going forward.
And that's if they accept it. That's what property plans to offer.
Well, that's got to be discussed.
Our recommendation. It got dumped down to emergency services, so we met on it, worked it on it, now we're handing it back up.
So all of this is over $5,000?
That's the city, yes.
No, us, what, we need $5,000 more than we need all this?
More than we need $24,000.
Yeah, well, yeah, leave the rent the way it is and move on. We don't need $5,000. We'll spend $5,000 in property committee meetings.
We still only meet once a month.
Are you the chair?
That's a touchy subject with him.
There's a chair. Meetings get done in 5 minutes. You don't waste no time.
So yeah, you've got a lot going on this meeting.
Like it's prime commercial property that somebody else is gonna rent.
Well, it goes back to the lease that we did with the police, what, a year ago, I believe actually it was? A year and a half ago. Prior to that, the lease was never addressed for over 15 years, was the last lease. So it had been at 16,000, 18,000
It was $13,360 and then a $7,000 for reception services.
for reception. And, you know, it hadn't been addressed in a long time. I thought it was 2008 or 10 or something like that.
Reception was 2001.
$1,000, right? So they had never had an increase over 15 years. You know, and we had upgraded a lot of stuff in the courthouse, the computers and everything else, and, you know, all the internet stuff we get that they use. And we decided it was our building, and this is what, it was less than what we charge for our joint management buildings per square footage, and we thought that was a fair rate, and they wanted to negotiate it back then. They hadn't realized we hadn't touched it in so many years.
Sounds like they decided to revisit the lease then too, so I don't know that we won. All right.
That was kind of the point that they wanted to negotiate. It's hard, it was the county's building. We stick money in this building every year, lots of money.
All right, any more discussion? Okay. Not, then we will go on to closed session announced by chair conferring with legal counsel in regards to settlement demand pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85, para 1, para G, for conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved. We have a motion to go into closed session. A motion by Mr. Russell and a second by Mr. Hampton to go into closed session. You can go ahead and vote.
I'm not gonna stay, so don't worry about me listening in.
I so bad when I say.
Okay.
17 yes, passed by majority. We are now in closed session.
So that was the count.
We recorded.